Bobby will tell us we'll play with whoever is quarterback. Let's go with. Need to bring my script up. There it is. Okay.
We just looked up nursery rhymes, so I think we're all set for rousing intellectual conversation now.
Are you sure? Did you get did we get all the lyrics? What's line 3?
What, you want them all?
I actually do want them all. I don't know why I want them all.
It's I read you the. Okay, I'm gonna recite this. I need to do it for my kids. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, knock the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight.
Lay them straight.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was like a jumping rope thing, right?
Counting song dating back to the late 18th century. So I don't.
Yeah, they might not even invented jump rope back then.
It's a song to teach kids how to count.
Okay. Guess they didn't have
it goes up to 20, just so you know, Omar.
I didn't know that. That's an important.
Are you prepping as a new dad?
Probably. I have been thinking about stuff like that, and especially girls. I know. Well, I did raise a girl, but I got her when she was 8. That's not the same thing as, a fresh one. All right, we ready to rock? All right, how many people we got on? I'm disappointed. I expected that number to be higher. It's Tua time, people.
Life's all about expectations, Omar. You raised yours too high there.
All right. Remember that defensive stat you gave me, Hyde?
Yeah.
So we could talk about it. I forgot to look where they are in penalties. Let me do that real quick if that's possible. I don't think it is. All right, let's ride.
I can look up penalties real quick. I know where it is.
We need to adjust anything?
What? Is that better?
What does Omar need to do? Okay, cool. All right, we ready to rock? Well, the Miami Dolphins took an important step towards proving that this rebuilding franchise is on track last week. Miami gave the Adam Gase New York Jets a 24-0 thumping. This just so happened to be the first shutout the Dolphins have had since 2014, and it gets the 2020 team to a 3-3 record on the season. For the first time in the Brian Flores era, Brian Flores' team is at 500, and where do we go from here?
You're burying the lead, Omar. Omar, you're burying the lead of the week right now. I know people are.
I'm telling the people where we go from here, Dave. I'm Omar Kelly, Sentinel columnist. This is Dave Hyde, Sentinel columnist, and you are a team led by Tua Tagovailoa right now. The Dolphins decided, or Brian Flores, or actually let's put it as the Dolphins management decided that this is the right time heading into the bye week for the Dolphins to shift and hand over the team to their first round pick, Tua Tagovailoa. Dave, it's a bye week. Ryan Fitzpatrick led this team to 3 victories, 2 blowout wins straight. They totally annihilated the New York Jets. producing a win that's quite impressive. Surprisingly, it didn't lead to the firing of Adam Gase, but I think I know what's behind that. Are you surprised that this is the time for Tua?
At 1-3, I was calling for Tua to be out there, so I can't say I'm surprised that this. I'm surprised the decision was made when you factor everything in the last couple of weeks that it was made right now. Yes. So when I heard the news yesterday, I was surprised. Now, if you had gone back to the start of the year and said in week 6, after 6 games, Tua is going to be the starter, I would say, yeah, that's about right where it should be. But considering 2 weeks ago, Brian Flores said he wasn't ready and played the dad card by saying if he was my son, I wouldn't want him to be pressured to get out there, hurried to get out there because of the injury. And then you had 2 blowout losses, 2 impressive losses, and he barely got in the game. I mean, he got in for 5 plays.
2 impressive wins, you mean?
Yes. So, yeah, I'm surprised.
It's interesting considering this team had been playing so well or was playing so well. I have said long and continue to stand by this, that I believe Ryan Fitzpatrick is the catalyst behind them playing so well. This defense is a different defense. When they get an early lead, Ryan Fitzpatrick delivers an early lead in their 3 wins. Lo and behold, their blowout loss is not very competitive. Now, did he play well in the second half of the Jets game? He didn't play well, but I don't think the entire team played well, except for the defense. The entire offense played well. I'm a little surprised just because I know the hold that Ryan Fitzpatrick has on this team. He is the alpha male in that locker room. He's Mr. Popular. But he's also a veteran, and he knew what his position and his role was. And this is kind of a situation just like when Kurt Warner was replaced by Eli Manning in Eli Manning's rookie season, despite them having a winning record. The organization just felt like it was time. I'm not necessarily certain that I agree, but I understand what was done. They pulled a George Costanza. They got out when they were hot.
Yeah, you know what, Omar? I think, and I don't want to take anything away from these 2 wins because look, the Dolphins were impressive in the wins. I get it, but I think everybody's putting too much on these wins. San Francisco had no defense. I mean, they had no cornerbacks. They had no defensive line.
I disagree.
Their quarterback was hobbled. And look, San Francisco beat the Rams this past week. So you can throw that back in my face. But the San Francisco we saw against the Dolphins was not anything close to a good team.
Maybe it was the Dolphins were a good team.
The Jets. Come on, seriously. So yeah, I get that they won 2 straight, and people are saying, how could they do it now? I think, and rightfully, they saw, let's not bank too much on the fact that we're 3-3.
Yeah, but you know what? You got momentum. You ride the hot hand. Why not continue to go with the guy who's rolling the hot dice? Right now, they just changed the dealer on you, and that's going to complicate things for this offense, switches things completely for this offensive line. You think some play-action plays will be rolled in there, and they'll play a different style of game. And now, a lot more pressure. Let's not pretend like this defense didn't just start playing good. Now, this team is in their hands. They have to carry this team, and I don't think they're ready for that. But we shall see. We'll discuss more of Tua later on in the show. But right now, we're going to take some questions. It's a fundamental element of X's and Omar. Luke Fader, my favorite question asker. There are others out there, but Luke Fader is the king. He did ask, what's the biggest factor in the improvement of the Dolphins' defense, in your opinion, Dave?
Yeah, to me, you look they've been playing great this last stretch, and the number I keep coming back to is 17 sacks. That's 6th in the league. And when you look at where they started after a couple weeks, they were. A couple sacks after a couple games. Yeah. I can't even remember. But we were throwing out numbers that were embarrassing, and now 17 sacks. Part of that's, look, they have got the lead in the last couple games. The other teams have been one-dimensional, pass-oriented, so that's allowed it to happen. But 17 sacks, 6th in the league. That's an impressive number.
You're overlooking the play at cornerback, not just Xavier Howard and the 4 interceptions in 4 weeks, but Byron Jones coming back. I mean, I pinned the Seattle loss on Noah Igbinoghene. And I mean, there's no other way to look at it because he was a rookie. He got exposed and he got embarrassed by Russell Wilson. I think they could possibly have won that game if it wasn't for Noah. You put Byron Jones in there, guy with veteran savvy. He's playing a lot better than he played in training camp. Jesus Lord. And it showed. It makes a difference. They tested him early. Adam Gase went after Byron Jones early.
First play, right, absolutely.
Byron Jones did him a tumble on him. And then they had to go to Xavier, and it's smart why Adam Gase would test Byron Jones because he knew what was on the other side in Xavier Howard. He knows Xavier's ball skills. You don't put that pass the way where it needs to be, it's his. And so this secondary right now, even Eric Rowe, oh my God. I said earlier in the season, Eric Rowe had been the top performing player in my mind. This is clearly before Ryan Fitzpatrick got hot. Top performing player in my mind in terms of the team. In terms of his assignment and role, what he does, this guy erased his tight ends. They're out the game. And when's the last time you could talk about somebody like that? But to your point, and I agree, 17 sacks, Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson, Sealer, wow, even Christian Wilkins is getting involved in the sack production. Everybody is hunting the quarterbacks. But then again, I will say this, and I continue to say this, this defense, this hybrid 3-4 defense is a completely different defense when they have a lead than when they're not, when they're trailing or when the game is close. So got to give credit to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
All right, Jacob wants to know, who are a few of the players that benefit the most from having this week off?
It's got to be the injured guys. Kyle Van Noy sat out the last game with that groin injury. Andrew Van Ginkel, he's got a concussion. I was so excited to go into last week's game and see what he can do as Kyle Van Noy's replacement, and then he hurts his noggin. Sam Igvavon came in and played quite well. And then another guy, I'm going to bring this up because you know how much I love line play. You know how much I watch the line. Solomon Kinley, he's taking it a little bit down in terms of his talent, the production, in terms of how good he's been. And I'm starting to suspect he might be hitting that rookie wall. He's got a foot injury. I think the rest is going to do him well. And this is part of the NFL. Your body has to endure 20 to 16 games. Well, I say 20 because I meant the exhibition season. At least he doesn't have to play 20, but his body's got to endure 16 games. And hopefully this rest does him well.
Well, you buried the lead, Omar. The guy who's going to benefit from the most from the week off is Tua, right? I mean, all of a sudden he's named the starter. He's got 2 weeks to prepare for the Los Angeles Rams and 2 weeks to, get first team reps, 2 weeks to have everybody looking at him as he's the guy.
They're not practicing this week. They're pretending like they're practicing.
Okay, but he's got 2 weeks where he's going to be the leader now, and he's got 2 weeks to have that role for himself. Okay, and for a rookie getting his first start, this is the place you want him to do it, where he has this much time. If you can choreograph it in this.
Yeah, if I'm not building an entirely new offense, do you think 2 weeks is enough time to build an entirely new offense?
Well, they better not have to build an entirely new offense. So that it will be interesting to see. They're going to, I assume, use his mobility and all that a little more. We can get into that of what the offense will look like.
The Blue U asked this question, and I put it in the show because I was curious what your viewpoint is. I definitely have mine. Can you share with us some of the difficulties you face with doing work during the pandemic? What are the Dolphins organization doing to help you cover the team these days?
Yeah, to answer that question, you got to understand some of the parameters that come with the job. In a normal year, you would get access to the locker room. You could walk around the locker room. You could, if you had a question about a player's role or a particular play, or just to get to know somebody, you could
talk how Tua's doing, or you just want to ask a guy.
You want to talk to the backup guard, talk to the starting tackle about what's Tua like in the huddle. You could do that. Okay, now you have very limited access, and the Dolphins are helping in the way every pro sports team across the board's helping. They have access. They put players on Zoom for 4 or 5 questions, and then that's it. Okay, and so you have the number one problem for anybody doing this job is access, because that's what we can provide people. We can provide access to players or coaches or see things that make the job valuable, and we don't have that this year.
Here is the major change in terms of what this COVID-19 situation has brought to the media. We have talked to Tua 3 times since training camp opened. And it's not because we haven't asked for Tua each week. It's just a nature of their protecting him. Now we'll get him today and we'll get him all the time if he continues to be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. And I get it. But also, you don't get to develop those relationships and bonds and contacts. And, for a column that I'm writing, which will be published after X and Omar produced, I had to do some deep digging in terms of what Tua has looked like and practiced like and his teammates' thoughts. And you're not going to get the real answers over Zoom. You're just not. It has to be confidential relationships built on trust and things of that nature. So you're not getting that on Zoom, but you can still get it. But in terms of COVID-19, I feel safer at Dolphins facility, safer at Hard Rock Stadium than I do anywhere else in society. And that's not blowing smoke up their butt. It's just the way that I feel. I'm tested on a regular basis, got to go through multiple processes. Most of the people I'm around, I know that they're tested every day. So I feel totally safe. And, the Dolphins even stopped serving popcorn at the stadium, Dave, because fans were using it as an excuse to not wear their mask. So popcorn sales is going down. And I give props to Tom Garfinkel and the staff and the organization for putting together a major sporting event and keeping people safe.
Yeah, not listening to the governor who said open it up for everybody. I mean, what a catastrophe that could have been if they did that. Thank you for not opening it up to 65,000 people there. Okay, Mitty asks Omar, what player surprised you the most, good or bad, this far?
Wasn't a question just for me. It's also for you, Hyde, and I'm not going to steal your answer. I'm going to go with my guy, Andrew Van Ginkel. 7th round pick. The guy looked about this big last season as a rookie. Still looks about this big, but he can set the edge. And now he's a pressure player in terms of a guy who can stunt and twist and produce sacks. Also, I got to give you, Preston Williams. Surprised kind of in a bad way, because the way he practiced against Byron Jones, I expected Preston Williams to be a dominant receiver this year. Now, lo and behold, and this is why you can't really take too much from practice, Byron Jones is battling an Achilles injury, and then the Achilles, when you have an injury, other parts of your body's compensating it for it, and now the Achilles moved to the groin, and hopefully he's healthy, and he definitely needs the time off. But Preston Williams, I want to see that dominant receiver, and I know it's in there, and I want to see it. And he's scoring touchdowns. Yeah, he's got one of the highest yards per reception in terms of how far he's actually catching the ball. But I saw a dominant receiver in training camp, and I'm still waiting.
Yeah, I think I have the answer that you wanted to give, too, on this. Who's the big surprise? It's Myles Gaskin. I mean, guy who, let's face it, he really wasn't in their plans when they over the offseason. When they signed 2 free agent running backs, and they look at the roster and they say that's telling you as a running back, you got to do something special to get in their plans. And he's done something special. He's made himself into an NFL player. Now, he's not a dynamic back from the standpoint of carrying the load all the time. We haven't seen that, but he's their best back. And that says something about him. It says something about the progress he's made in his second year. So you talk about surprise. that's not only good, it's a necessary surprise considering the other running backs really have surprised you the other way. The guys they sunk money into. So it's a good thing Myles Gaskin has made that step forward this year. All right, the time all Miami Dolphin fan base has been waiting for, Omar, many impatiently, including me, has finally arrived. It's Tua time. The Dolphins have decided to hand the keys to the franchise to the former Alabama standout, the number 5 pick in the draft, 6 games into the season as we go into bye week. Omar, was it the right move?
For me to answer this question, I'm going to answer it very diplomatically. Was it the right move?
Diplomatic, Omar. We want Omar. That's what we want.
Listen, there's two folds to this question. Was it the right move for the 2020 Dolphins at this time? It was not. Ryan Fitzpatrick is hot. He's their leader. The players want Ryan Fitzpatrick to continue to lead the team. Tua had not shown dynamic play during practice. He wasn't pulling a Patrick Mahomes. That wasn't what happened, where Patrick Mahomes would practice and players would start whispering like, man, he's really good. Oh my God, we got to get him as a starter. No, that wasn't the case. What happened was the franchise looked at this, the wins, the fact that the team is playing good team ball, the development of the chemistry on the offensive line, as the right opportunity to say, we got to do what's best for the franchise, not the 2020 team, the franchise. And I'm not disagreeing with that. For the franchise, it was the best move because now it gives Tua ultimately 10 games to learn, develop, progress, gives the organization 10 games to see if he could be durable, or maybe we got to push him to the side because he's a fragile quarterback, which is still in play here. And they could always go back to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, that would be a bad situation for the organization, but they need to know what he is and what he has, and they need to start building an offense around him. So was it a good thing for the franchise? Absolutely. Was it a good thing for the 2020 Miami Dolphins? It wasn't.
Yeah, I'll say it was a good thing for the 2020 Dolphins from the standpoint, where are you going with this team? Again, I think people are overgrading these last 2 wins.
We're romanticizing Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yes, and because everybody loves Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I get it. You should love Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's the guy you would like to work next to for years because he's funny. He's a team player. He's very smart. He obviously is creative and he brings out the best in people. And you love to work with that. That's why he's so popular. I get it. But you know what? You've seen Tua has a good personality too. I don't think that will be the problem. And the question always when you make a move like this is, where is Tua going to be now, and where will he be if you play him 6 weeks from now? If you start playing him, where will he be? And that's why, I was a little, with this decision looming, I'm surprised they didn't play Tua more in the fourth quarters of the last 2 games, just to see where he's at.
Maybe that means it wasn't looming and it was forced.
Well, look, my thought on this is Brian Flores' team. He makes the decisions on, what he's going to do. Now, people can talk to him and maybe somebody has influenced him or whatever, but it's his decision to make, Tua or Fitzpatrick, and he's picked Tua. And so that's my thought anyways, Omar. Maybe you have a different view, but
I don't have this is what I'm being told, but obviously they sat together, the decision makers. And when I say the decision makers, let's talk about the power players within the Dolphins organization. There is Steve Ross, the owner. We all know Steve Ross' personality. He's not going to force these things. That's just not his personality. So you don't expect him to be a Jerry Jones or a Dan Snyder. He's not going to say, I want to now play him. Then you got Tom Garfinkel, who is all about the business, very smart guy. Now,
Let's not say he's only about the business though. He's in the football side. He's raising questions and issues on the football side. He was a big part of last year of the tactics of last year. So
I'm not disagreeing with it, but what benefits Tom Garfinkel? Here's the thing about the business side. It doesn't make sense to make a switch to Tua because it's not going to benefit business outside of nationally people caring. Because it's not like you're going to sell more tickets. I mean, there's a cap in terms of what you can have in the stadium. But now, is there more buzz about the Dolphins? Absolutely. Well, jersey sales and ticket sales and excitement? Absolutely. So it benefits them to make that switch.
But then they aren't going to, Omar, they aren't going to do that in week 7 as opposed to week 11 for jersey sales. I mean, I can't see that.
And Tua's probably the number 1 or number 2 selling jersey in the league anyway. But let's put the business aside. Then we get to who I think this decision is really on, Chris Grier. And the reason I say it's on Chris Grier is because I think he has a grasp and an understanding where his franchise is as a team. He's consistently pointed out, we're still rebuilding. This isn't a finished product. So now that people are talking about, whispering playoffs and thinking the Dolphins, hey, maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I'm one, I'll raise my hand. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick can deliver his first winning season, second winning season with the Dolphins. I think he could get them to 10 wins. I believe with this defense playing well. And you know what? Chris Grier probably just clapped me on the knees with a billy club and was just like, stop it. Like, this is about building for the future, not necessarily making a push for the playoffs. But then again, we got to bring it up. It's not Chris Grier's personality to force something. But I do believe it's a consensus decision. I don't think Brian Flores woke up one day and was like, surprise, Tua's a starter. Like, he's the main one that said he wasn't ready 2 weeks ago. What changed? Absolutely nothing. He got 3 snaps in a game. So
yeah, that part is I have a hard time explaining that if they saw this break coming up now, and the break changed, remember, because of the coronavirus.
And I will say this: I had always heard Tua change at the bye from the time he was drafted, and if they weren't winning or Fitz wasn't hot, Tua change at the bye. So it's not like this comes out of nowhere. But the bye moved.
Yeah, but I would have thought that he would have got more time, just to, really measure and knock some of the rust off. He hasn't played in a year, and so. But I get back. It's the right move for the franchise. And this is an organizational decision. I will say that, or discussion. It's a head coach's decision. It's an organizational discussion because of who Tua is, the investment in him, the future, and let's face it, what a star quarterback can do for a franchise. So it's an organizational discussion that I think I think Flores made the decision. No one could force his hand on something like this, I don't think. Hey, our next question, Omar, comes from Matt Miller. What do you think causes Fitz's inconsistent play? It seems at times it's feast or famine with him. Well, I'll answer that. So it looks like we're having a little technology problems with Omar here. Look, that's who he's been the whole time. I mean, that's his career. And Omar said my computer went out. I'm restarting the computer. So this is beautiful technology at its best. But look, Fitzpatrick, you've seen him for 15 years, all right, age 37 now, turning 38 in December. And the thing that makes him great and fun is the thing that also gets him in trouble is he's a gunslinger. He'll go out and he'll throw deep, he'll throw into coverage, he'll throw expecting receivers to make plays for him. And at the same time, as we saw Sunday against the Jets, he'll throw into coverage where he really shouldn't. Now, a couple times this year, his interceptions have been he just hasn't seen an underneath guy. Um, but in general, the problem with him is what makes him great is what also puts him in trouble, and that is he's going to force things. He's going to make things happen, and until they don't happen, and so he's fun to watch in that way. But yeah, look, he's ranked 17th in passing in the NFL right now, his rating. And that's probably as good, I think, as you could expect him to be. All right. He's having as good a season as you could expect him to be. And let's face it, to win in the NFL, you need a top 5, top 8 quarterback, depending on the team you have. And so the question always was, when are they going to make this move, and not if.
Are you referring to the inconsistency of Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Right.
Yeah, I agree that it would flare up from time to time, but you overlook the Fitz magic? And I think we had gotten more Fitz magic than we got Fitz tragic this season. And I get it. It's better to make this change now, coming off 2 blowout wins and your defense is playing great, as opposed to doing it after going 0-3. And I get it. It makes sense. It just seems a little unfair to me, Dave. But then again, Ryan Fitzpatrick is making $7 million a year. I don't think he can cry.
Hey, I will say this, Omar, too. We have this, it's like this unwritten rule in sports or in football that, they changed quarterbacks, so they got to stick with this guy. He's their guy now. No, it's not. Look, the Dolphins.
So you're saying they could go back?
Yes, absolutely. If Tua struggles for whatever reason beyond some threshold, and I don't know, I'm not going to throw out what the threshold is, but you'll see it if he's struggling to the point after 2 or 3 games that it's counterproductive.
Are you saying we could Josh Rosen Tua?
No problem with going back to Fitzpatrick.
You Josh Rosen Tua?
If it's necessary, I don't think I'm not of the unwritten rule thing that you can't do that. Do that.
There is no turning back here, Dave. And as much as I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, there is no turning back here. If you're gonna open up this can of worms, you can't change courses 5 games into the season just because he hasn't won a game. You knew he wasn't the better quarterback to begin with, and you did it anyway. Right now.
I disagree with that. I think you can. There's nothing to say if a month from now Tua's over his head or whatever, then you can go back for a couple games, let Tua collect himself, and bring him back out at the end of the season if that's how you want to do it. I would have no problem. And I know that's an unwritten rule. You can't do that in football. Why not? Who says? So, all right. Our next question, Omar. Thanks for coming back, by the way, and not leaving me hanging for the next hour here. What player has made the biggest improvement? Wait, we already did that question, didn't we? Did we?
Yeah, it was covered. In terms of improvement, Myles Gaskin, Andrew Van Ginkel. I think we could talk about the offensive line. I've been pleasantly surprised by the way that they played. I think Robert Hunt has done quite well at right tackle. It doesn't seem too big for him. And people overlook this, but I think Jesse Davis has done an admirable job at left tackle. You don't act like the pressure's coming from the left side, but now the true test will show up because of Tua. You brought something to my attention a couple shows ago, and it was accurate. Ryan Fitzpatrick holds the ball less than any other quarterback in the league. And that was helping the offensive line. And now, was it helping his receivers? No, but he got the ball out of his hand and he helped his offensive line. There's a reason why they're one of the teams that allowed the least sacks. And that's because Ryan Fitzpatrick gets the ball out of his hand. Now,
he ranks 3rd right now, 2.4 seconds. Behind Roethlisberger and Dwayne Haskins, of all people. Fitzpatrick's 3rd. So, yeah, now is that the offense? Is it him? It's probably a combination, right?
And now my biggest concern with Tua is the knock on him, even coming from his head coach Nick Saban, is that he holds on to the ball too long. I spoke to a defensive player who plays against Tua when he was working with the scout teams, and his biggest criticism was he holds on to the ball too long. And you cannot do that in the NFL. I mean, it's going to be sack city, and you can't. We all know quarterbacks can't and shouldn't be taking licks. Look at Joe Flacco last week. Joe Flacco was playing hot potato with the ball because the Dolphins were in his backfield all the time, and he got shook. That can't happen to Tua. If it does happen to Tua, we've got a problem.
Yeah, okay. Paul Ray asks, the running game's weak. Is it the offensive line, running backs, combination? How does it get corrected, Omar?
Well, we saw a little bit of an improvement last week against the Jets, but then again, they are the Jets. I'm not necessarily certain that that team is actually playing or being competitive at this point. I think it's got to be continuous development of chemistry from the running backs. I mean, from the offensive line. And then when we talk about the running backs, Matt Breida, he's got to do more. There is more meat on the bone in terms of what he can do and things that he can bring to the table. Like, as pleasant of a surprise as Myles Gaskin has been, he has not proven he can be the workhorse. This is a two-back offense, and we need the other back to step up.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell, you brought it up last show, and I hesitated, but the more I thought about it, that would have been a nice fit on this, a nice experiment on this offense anyways.
The Dolphins are at the 500 point headed into the bye week, and Miami has been a pleasant surprise to South Florida and also the NFL. It doesn't hurt that they changed quarterbacks and went with Tua Tagovailoa. This team is improving. It's showing that in so many statistics, Dave. Where are they defensively, Dave?
They are tied for third in points allowed, which, that's pretty impressive, what they've done from a number standpoint.
There are a lot of important statistics. They're one of the teams that has least sacks allowed. They're one of the least penalized teams in the league. While I think they need to improve their run game, and especially now with Tua as a starting quarterback, you don't want to put all that pressure on a quarterback. He's a rookie quarterback. I think he's probably got a good grasp of 40% of the offense. They've got to get better on the run game, and they've got to get better stopping the run from a defensive standpoint. But if I have to make a criticism about the team, those are my two only criticisms. They're disciplined, they're low on penalties, they're efficient in the red zone, they're good time of possession, they're good from a turnover standpoint. Xavier Howard's getting turnovers. The secondary's playing well. I think the secondary probably can continue to tighten, and I think they will do that. But overall, maybe the only area that I think that they might lack is production of big plays.
Yeah, look, they beat the Jets, they beat the Jaguars, and they beat a San Francisco team that bring all the criticism, or I get where you can throw at me on this. That San Francisco team 2 weeks ago, the Dolphins beat, was not the San Francisco team.
Dolphins caught them at the right time.
They caught them at the right time. Okay, and they look who they've lost to. They lost to New England, they lost to the Bills, and they lost to Seattle. So they've beaten two of the worst teams in the league, maybe the two worst teams in the league, into Jaguars and the Jets. And they've lost to three decent teams. Seattle's more than decent, okay? So I'm trying to put a little perspective on everybody's going crazy. Oh, they can go from 3-3 to 8-4 and be in the playoffs if they – no, they're not that team yet. They're still building.
7-3? 7-3? Can we get 7-3? I went into this week before Tua obviously became the starting quarterback, and I was going to write a column about, you know me, Dave. I'm not a believer in this culture bull. Yes, you see it from the Heat standpoint. I've covered the Dolphins for 14 years, and everybody's got their culture. Everybody's building their culture, and it's just bullcrap. And I don't believe in culture. I believe in talent. I believe in coaching. And I was finally beginning to buy into the Dolphins coaching. Now, You and everybody in the world will say, oh, look what they did with that roster last year. Oh, they got 5 wins. And my argument would be they still coached like crap despite their 5 wins. It was a horribly coached team, which was reflected by the fact that Brian Flores replaced half his coaching staff after 1 year. So this year, Josh Boyer has a better feel of the talent around him. Doesn't hurt that he has better talent around him. He's utilizing guys the right way. Xavier Howard's playing the right way. They're giving him help when certain receivers are running certain routes. Eric Rowe, oh my God, the improvement that Eric Rowe has made in 1 season. You know, he's played safety or tight end stopper or whatever Brian Flores wants to call it, for 16 games now, and it has been thoroughly impressive. I think the coaching has done so much better this season. And now, you know, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Tua Tagovailoa. I think they have to build an entirely new offense for him.
Well, let's get into that because I'm curious your thoughts on that, Omar. You have now a quarterback who has shown he throws on the run in college. Okay, I mean that was one of his strengths. His mobility, his creativity. Those are strengths of his. And you know, I'll be curious to see how Chan Gailey adapts from a, you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick was a, you know, he would create plays, but he was more of a drop back passer, and then he'd create out of that. Are they going to do that with Tua? Are they going to roll him out? I'm curious to see what they have a week and a half now to really put something together.
Oh yeah, a week and a half. I think it's going to be more RPOs. I think it's going to be more spread concepts. Those are what they eat. Even when, you know, I have to think, you know, Gaskins is a spread offense running back, and they've consistently fed into that and fed into that and fed into that. And now I have to believe, with the knowledge and understanding, that Tua would be inserted into that spread offense, because the Dolphins, they run more spread than they run their base offense. And I'm always uncomfortable with that because I think you need your base offense. But now if you're building a whole offense around it and a quarterback that runs spread and RPOs, why not?
Let's stop that for a second. Do you want Tua running RPOs, run pass option? That first word, 2 weeks ago, you had the head coach saying he doesn't want it because of the injury. Do you want him running as a you know, meat and potatoes part of the offense? Okay, I mean those are the type of issues. I keep hearing RPO with Tua, RPO, and I'm thinking, whoa, hey, wait a second here. Wait a second.
I don't want it. I'm not comfortable. You know, I'm not even comfortable with him playing. You know, give me a month and then maybe 3 weeks. But hey, we're pulling the cord now. Am I concerned about the hip? I am. Am I concerned about him being a fragile quarterback? I am. But we drafted him with this knowledge and understanding that this is who he is. This is what you're going to have to deal with. And hey, if it's going to be now, then let us know. If you're not going to hold up for a season, here's 10 games. Show us you can hold up for a season.
Do you think Justin Herbert succeeding in his month as a starter had any influence on the Dolphins saying, or just even them looking over there and saying, oh, yeah, he's doing well, he's doing well. Why not throw our guy out there too?
No question. And in fact, the players that I talked to, they mentioned that a number of times. Yeah. The management saw what was going on with these other quarterbacks and said, hey, our guy's better. Like, we should be playing him, and our team is playing well. And they are playing well as a team. This is the vision that Brian Flores had always created. They are playing well as a team. And that's the right time, oddly enough, even though I don't agree with it, that's the right time to make this move, when they are playing well as a team.
Well, and I'll tell you what other is the right time to make the move. They play the Rams, who are pretty good.
They're good.
They're pretty good.
I've watched 4 Rams games. They're good. They're physical. They're forceful. They're gonna bully you.
Well, one of our questions is, what's the biggest challenge they face with Tagovailoa as the new starter? And, we can get into this and that. Specifically, the biggest challenge, if I'm the offensive coordinator with Tagovailoa, is Aaron Donald. Okay, because you do not want him, the best defensive player in the league, the last few years. You do
Yeah,
not want him wreaking havoc on your new starter who comes in with, like it or not, injury questions. Okay, you do not want him running free and taking hits on your
if
rookie
I'm
quarterback.
the Rams, I'm putting Aaron Donald over Solomon Kinley, and I'm going to town all game. And I am attacking that side and taking away and making Tua roll right. Roll left, and then I'm putting a blitzing linebacker over the left side. So it's going to be very easy to game plan for Tua. Unfortunately, with the Rams, I don't think it'll be easy for everybody, but the Rams, man, they got a lot of weapons. They got a good defense. They got a physical. That's the most physical, forceful defensive line. But I think the biggest challenge for the franchise right now, making this shift, is the playmakers have to step up now. Now you're talking about Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. They've got to develop chemistry with Tua, and that doesn't exist. This is not like he's worked with them on a regular basis. He might get 20% of first team snaps. He has more chemistry with the Lynn Bowden Juniors and the Isaiah Fords and the Malcolm Perrys, and you're not handing the offense over to them. So it's going to take him a while to develop chemistry, and hopefully Myles Gaskin can carry the workload for them. The offensive line can protect them, but that's really the biggest issue that they face right now.
All right, Omar. Michael Carey has a question. Is Miami being top 5 in the NFL in points differential so far a sign their performance has been underrated this season?
I think it's a sign that they're playing good team football, and it's a sign that their quarterback is producing big leads. The victories haven't been close, and that's why I was more prone to believe that, hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick is hitting his peak. Remember, this is like his 6th year in Chan Gailey's offense. They know each other. They've got chemistry. He's got chemistry with the weapons. I just felt like it was a synergy that was going to continue, and now it's gone. And
I tell you, I think that is Brian Flores', in addition to get Tua ready, obviously, but as a head coach of the team, the full team, his challenge is to explain why this is happening and to keep everybody together. I don't think the team's going to fall apart or anything like that, but to get everybody on the same page going into the week of practice.
He apologized. He apologized in our media session to the team because he didn't want them to learn this way. And he didn't want them, they weren't assembled. That was a day off, and players were literally in treatment when the news scrolled over the ESPN ticker. And that's a difficult spot for a head coach to be in. And he didn't announce this to his team. The nation did.
Yeah, I think you learn a lesson that if you're going to tell players or somebody in the organization is coming to a decision, you better be ready to roll and tell the team, because you can, stuff like that's getting out. You got agents, you got there's a whole lot of people out there hearing stuff who have numbers to the Adam Schefters of the world, and that leaked out, and yeah, he did apologize, and he was understandably upset that he didn't get to talk to the team before it got out in the media.
Sentinelist 101 has our final question of the show. Do you think this is Flores' vision for the defense? Sticky cover corners, ball hawking cornerbacks, stunting and confusion on the defensive front?
Yeah, exactly. I think you're seeing the general idea of what he wants to do with the defense. Now, are they there yet? No, I think he wants a couple of big wide bodies, run stuffing, at least one up front yet. And look, maybe Raekwon Davis becomes that guy. Maybe but I think they're lacking that physical presence to stop the run when they need to stop the run. That will really allow some of the other pieces to do even better.
I think they're also lacking a meat-eating inside linebacker. I mean, as much as I respect Jerome Baker, and he's doing a good job in terms of what his role, he's more of a weak side linebacker. He's not going to go in there and feel stopping the run. And as I said early in the show, I've got two issues with the Miami Dolphins. They cannot run the ball when they need to run the ball, and they cannot stop the run. And these are things that are not going away, and good teams are going to exploit it.
All right, Omar, here we go. We don't have a game to predict this week, but it's prediction time nonetheless. Make a prediction on the Tua era. We'll let you go first.
I'm going to make a prediction, and unfortunately, it's going to make Dolphins fans angry. I am going to predict that Tua Tagovailoa will suffer a season-ending injury, not this season.
Omar!
But at some point, I'm just trying to get you prepared. I think Tua will play.
How do you prepare for that?
I think Tua will play 17 seasons in the NFL. We've seen that quarterbacks can play forever now. But I will tell you, he'll probably lose 2 to 3 of those seasons to injury. He will be a Carson Wentz. And you just got to get comfortable with it. And
you're predicting one of those seasons will be this year.
No. I'm not predicting it this year. This is about the Tua era. This is not about the Tua season. It's about the Tua era. And you got to wrap your mind around, while you have Tua, make sure that backup is good. And if Fitzpatrick is not going to be part of this organization next year, you got to still think about making sure that backup position is good, because you never know. All it takes is one hit. And when we drafted Tua, we knew and we understood if he suffers another hip injury, it could possibly impact his blood flow, and it could possibly damage his hip and end his career. Now, let's hope and pray that never happens and doesn't happen, and that the hip is in his past. But what if it's not?
All right, Omar, here's my prediction for the Tua era, in that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch for the next 12, 15 years. Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins go against Trevor Lawrence of the Jets. Okay.
Ooh.
Look at what's going on with the quarterbacks in the AFC East.
They're good.
For years, it was just Tom Brady against a revolving cast.
All this decade of suckiness has benefited the AFC East.
Yes. Well, yeah, and some decision making. I mean, you look at Buffalo, looks like they have their quarterback. He's not the guy for the first 4 weeks of the year. He's regressed to the mean a little, but they got their future. The Jets look like, why would they fire Adam Gase? That's what I don't
fire
understand
him.
This. Why would you fire him?
If you're a Dolphins fan, you hope that they fire him.
He's doing exactly what you want to at this point if you're the Jets. It's a fire show up there, and you want it to continue because you are in line now for Trevor Lawrence, okay? And that's the guy who can change the franchise around from not only quarterback play, but getting in people, professionals who want to work for your organization, free agents who now would want to come there. And now in Miami, you have Tua down. All of a sudden, the only team without a quarterback of the future is a team that for the past 20 years has had the only quarterback in the AFC East. And that's
they don't need one. They keep winning with Bill Belichick. He's a genius. He's great. All right. Well, we appreciate you watching X's and Omar. Welcome to the Tua era. We shall enjoy this ride. No matter how it ends, we will enjoy it, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as well. We will be back here Wednesday at noon next week. Have a great day, guys.
What happened there, Omar? You hit the off button?
Ran out of battery, and at 1 minute it tells me I got 20 minutes. The next minute it tells me we're shutting down. I guess Zoom drains it.
Oh.
It